Hello and welcome to another devlog on this channel. In this video we're doing a quick recap what happened in the first 100 days of developing this game. Let's see what has happened since day 1. At first I created a basic terrain and added some models I downloaded from the Unity asset store. I decided to use the low poly models from Broken Vector. I chose the low poly tree asset pack as well as the low poly stones pack. With these assets I created a testing scene where I adjusted the size of the model so it does fit all well together. Also, I used some grass and water shaders I found on a public GitHub repository to make my environment feel more alive. So in the first week I just built a small test island, maybe with a bit too much effort knowing that I will remove it later, but I think it was a good starting point to add some functions to the now present prefabs, like the trees. In the second week I implemented the tree cutting system. Okay, before that I added some localization under some heavy conditions, but I deleted it again because it is useless for my purposes. I think it is totally okay to have the game in English at first, and maybe if I am going to release it on a bigger platform than itch.io, like for example Steam, localization will be interesting again. But back to the tree cutting, I implemented an attack controller so the character can attack different objects that have a health system. In this case is a tree, but the mechanic also works for stones, minerals or enemies. This goes hand in hand with a dedicated health system, which is basically just an interface with some add and remove functions and a health and a max health variable. This is just the base mechanic, so the target object gets destroyed and drops some loot. This loot can be picked up and can be added to an inventory that I also programmed within this time period. It was just the variable holding the item, so no UI was there, so the player could not check if it is really working. But I took care of that in the following week. Here I decided to completely take care of the design of the UI. I built the UI system event-driven, which means that special event listeners always wait for the variable changes. These changes are then sent directly to the UI so that the changes can take place visually. This is cool because it breaks up some dependencies and makes the whole structure a bit more dynamic. Before implementing some gameplay functionalities, I added a visual feature, the day and night system. I don't have any idea why I added it so early in the development, but I felt like it doesn't need to be in the game at that stage. Obviously, it does not need to be in there, even in the current stage the project is right now. But I had fun implementing it, so I think I did nothing wrong. Hand in hand with the day and night system, there's a calendar manager that keeps track of the time in the game world. This can help to add some time-based features in the future. I think the visual appeal is important at any part of the development stage. Maybe that's why I also added butterflies and stuff like that to the game so early. I like if games are visually appealing, even if it does not have any impact on the gameplay itself. This leads us to the next change, farming minerals. Of course, I already had the farming system in place with the attack control I mentioned earlier, but it was not visually appealing. So I decided to spawn broken objects when the target mineral gets destroyed, so the game world feels much more responsive. And I want the player to have the feeling that he can change the game world, so I tried to make everything so juicy as possible. Then I added a tree growing mechanism, which is currently not even used by anything. It is there for the future, so the player can plant a seed and the tree grows and then cut down the tree to gain the wood resource again. So to this point I didn't even touch the main world, so I decided to work on the actual game world. The player should feel like home. I created a new terrain, added the well-known beach and some areas with trees, stones and grass which are located around paths. Did I already mention I like the visuals of games? Well, here comes another polishing, now retrospective too early. I added some post-processing effects, adjusting the light settings, adjusted the fog settings based on the time of the day and added things like a god ray. To also have more life in the game world, I finally added some other creatures. For the wildlife I added a wolf and a fox. Wolves are aggressive animals and attack everything they smell in their radius, while foxes are shy animals in my game, which try to escape every situation with animals from other species. This leads us to a little ecosystem that wolves are hunting foxes, but I need to spend even more time to adjust some ecosystem settings in the future. And after seeing the wolf in action, I also was thinking about having an animal partner which accompanies you on the journey, but that has also have to wait until it's the right time for it. You know what? I think I have to change the visuals again. The third time I am polishing some stuff I don't like in my game, and I think it's okay. There will be thousands of more iterations polishing the visuals of my game. In this iteration I implemented a rotation of the directional light so the shadows were updated correctly to the right time of day. Also I added a new water shader which reflects the light, has waves and looks much more like a cartoony but dynamic water shader. I then added the heart of the island, the capital city called Azaria. It currently has no inhabitants and actually no use at all, but later if there are some people walking around and trading with you, it will have a huge impact on the gameplay. But for that I need to have a dialogue system and even more important character models. I like modeling objects, but humanoid things or animals which have to be sort of physically correct. But for now I think the capital of the island is cool enough to have a good story. I also added cool signposts which integrate in the 3D space to show you the way to important areas on the island. Next I made sure the island is a good amount smaller, because honestly it doesn't make any sense to have such a huge island for a little solo adventure game like this. And recently I revisited the tree cutting system, so the player needs to hold some type of tool in the hand to cut on a tree or gather some minerals. So I implemented a UI so the player can scroll through the first 8 items of his inventory to choose the correct item he wants to hold in his hands, and I think that's it. This was my 100 days of game dev journey. In summary, I've implemented some basic systems like inventory, picking up things and holding items in the hand, as well as resource gathering systems. I implemented visual systems like the day and night system, lighting features, and added some areas to the world which are obviously not even finished. I implemented a bit of wildlife and designed some parts of the UI. I think in the retrospective I already accomplished so much, but I also have a good amount of work ahead of me. Also, you don't have to forget that this is just a hobby project I work on when there's time for it. I have a full-time job, a partner, friends, and just relaxed time watching some good shows to spend my time on. On top of that, there's the creation of these YouTube videos, which also takes some time to make. So in summary, I think this whole project will take some time until it's finished. Thanks for watching this devlog. In the next video I want to show you how I finally add a nice save and loading system. Until then, see you in the next video. Bye.